Most people don't realize how quickly assumptions about Europe break down when you take a closer look. The idea that Europe is a single, uniform place seems obvious at first glance, but look a bit deeper, and you'll find that contrast defines this continent more than similarity. What if saying, "I've been to Europe," could mean anything from hiking under gray skies in Norway to sipping espresso in a crowded plaza in Spain? Imagine a traveler stepping off a train in Vienna. Everything is quiet. Trams glide by. There's a sense of order. Then picture that same person crossing into Naples, where scooters dart past, voices rise in animated conversations, and the rhythm of the day feels completely different. Those scenes couldn't be further apart, but both are Europe. Today's video will give you a straightforward look at 10 key facts about Europe's real divisions, cultures, and daily life, upending common misunderstandings and showing how things play out on the ground. The insights come straight from forums, research, native viewpoints, and honest accounts you won't find in travel ads. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe. Number 10. Not one Europe. Many Americans think of Europe as just France, Germany, Italy, maybe England. Yet Europe has over 40 countries, stretching from Portugal to Russia's Arctic border. The largest is Russia, spanning 11 time zones, while at the other end sits Vatican City, less than a square mile, a walled enclave within Rome. Geography gets complicated. Europe is divided in more ways than the maps suggest: politics, economy, tradition, and even weather shape invisible lines. Western Europe means places like Germany, Austria, and France, known for stable economies and higher wages. In Northern Europe, including Norway, Sweden, and Finland, high living standards meet months of darkness and snow, unsettling for Americans used to mild winters and the bustle of places like Phoenix or Dallas. Southern Europe brings warmer weather, lively plazas, and prized cuisine, but often shows slower economic growth and higher unemployment. Labels themselves stir debate. Some nations reject Eastern Europe, preferring Baltics or Central Europe, because these names carry the weight of history and division, even decades after the Cold War. Picture someone standing in Lisbon on a breezy Atlantic day. Cafes spill out onto cobbled streets, ocean air drifts in, neighbors mingle on doorsteps. Take that same day in Vilnius, Lithuania. Clouds hang heavy, mornings start quietly, and the pace in line at a supermarket is brisk, even abrupt. Daily life shifts not only from country to country, but city to village and block to block. Number 9. Divisions within. Maps show neat borders, but real differences often appear inside each country. In the United States, states feel distinct, yet share a general culture. In Europe, distinctions are sharper, often rooted in centuries-old identities. Germany, for example, divides into 16 states, each with unique dialects, recipes, and festivals. Dialects shift so much that someone from Hamburg may not fully understand a Bavarian farmer. Austria shares a language with Germany, but even simple greetings or menus vary noticeably. The United Kingdom is officially 4 countries, but anyone raised in Edinburgh or Belfast instantly spots accents, slang, or even how tea is served. In France, the gap between rural Brittany and the fashionable South runs deep. Daily routines, meal times, and even bread taste different. Visit Belgium and see street signs in Dutch and French. Or walk a single street in the border town of Barle, where some houses straddle the divide between Belgium and the Netherlands. One front door in Belgium, another in the Netherlands. Local bakeries, butchers, and even fire departments maintain traditions that don't cross the next county line. These internal lines shape how people live, what food goes on the table, and which holidays they mark. Number 8. Population and space. Most Americans underestimate just how tightly packed Europe is. Europe covers about a quarter of America's land area but has 700 million people, more than twice the U.S. population of 330 million. The U.K. alone has over 700 people per square mile, compared to roughly 94 per square mile in the U.S. City life reflects this. Paris offers narrow sidewalks, tiny elevators, and streets lined with cars parked bumper to bumper. Public transport isn't a convenience. It's essential. Metros, trams, and local buses connect most neighborhoods, while cars are often reserved for weekend trips or rural life. Renting a flat in Berlin or Milan often means about 600 square feet for a family, with bedrooms doubling as home offices. Shop for groceries in a French suburb and expect aisles barely wider than a shopping cart, and small fridges at home. Bulk buying is rare since walks to the bakery or market are part of daily routine. Cafes and corner stores cluster within a 5-minute walk. For someone who grew up in American suburbs, the wide lawns, big box stores, and long drives, European density takes adjusting. Everyday errands that once required a car become a matter of steps, not miles. Yet the upside is clear. Walkable neighborhoods, stores on every corner, a sense of community shaped by frequent daily encounters. Number 7. European Union Europe. Many Americans assume the EU covers all of Europe, but it's only a political and economic group, not a definition of the continent. The EU unites 27 countries, while Europe holds over 40. Norway and Switzerland, for example, stay outside the EU, setting their own policies and currencies. The EU removes many barriers. Border checks often disappear, workers can move between member countries, and the euro serves as shared money for 20 nations. However, not all EU states use the euro. Poland sticks with the zloty, Hungary with the forint. If you buy a coffee in Berlin, you'll use euros, but in Oslo, Norway, you'll need kroner. A typical lunch in Prague might cost 180 Czech koruna, or about $8, while Paris prices can be twice as high. Even coins and bills change design with each country. Italian euros look different from Spanish ones, so careful travelers always double-check. When flying between European cities, especially outside the Schengen area, expect some routine passport checks and separate ticket counters. The blue flag with gold stars flies over EU buildings but doesn't represent all Europeans, especially in countries that have chosen their own path, like the UK post-Brexit. The distinction matters every time someone moves for work, travels for a holiday, or watches how national policies shift during crisis. Number 6. Language expectations. In the US, English is expected everywhere and used effortlessly in daily life. In Europe, language ties closely to region, upbringing, and even town. Most Europeans do know more than one language. Kids in Dutch schools learn 3 by high school, and young Swedes often use English fluently. However, step off the usual tourist path into a Spanish or Italian village, and menus rarely show English translations. Taxi drivers in Athens or Warsaw may not follow directions unless you speak a few key words. Even gestures like waving or showing numbers with fingers can confuse, since expressions carry different meanings. For Americans, this stands out. Ordering at a bakery in Paris or a sausage stand in Vienna often means learning the right word for bread or sausage, and mistakes mark visitors quickly. It's common to overhear dinner tables shift from German to French to English in a single meal, reinforcing how most Europeans view language as both heritage and practical necessity. Americans willing to learn even simple greetings, hello, thank you, please, find warmer responses and quicker service. English remains a passport in big cities, but surfaces fade quickly further out. Number 5. Reserved or friendly. What Americans see as cheerful small talk is rare in many European cities. In Dallas or Atlanta, a store clerk asks about your day, and neighbors wave across lawns. In Helsinki or Stockholm, a friendly smile or greeting from a stranger draws surprise, not warmth. Packed subways in Berlin move in near silence, each commuter keeping to themselves, phones or newspapers in hand. In a Vienna tram, people speak quietly. Raised voices are frowned on. In contrast, southern European towns brim with noise and life. A street in Naples on market morning is full of shouting, bargaining, and laughter, while outdoor cafes in Seville keep tables busy late into the night. This difference confuses many Americans, who may see silence as aloofness, but genuine friendships in these places often run deeper once established. In quieter cities, patience pays off and friendships feel deliberate, not superficial. Yet travel only a few hundred miles south, and you'll find yourself sharing a bench with locals who invite you to join a noisy dinner or share a glass of wine after sunset. Number 4. American identity challenged. Tracing roots back to Europe is common in the US, especially for those with Italian, Irish, or Polish last names. That connection feels personal and deep, often celebrated through family recipes, stories, or even DNA tests. Yet in Europe, ancestry means less than daily life. Being part Irish or half German doesn't make someone Irish or German by local standards. In Florence, a visitor with perfect Italian on paper may still be seen as American if he didn't grow up in that culture or city. Foods like spaghetti and meatballs, beloved in many American homes, surprise many Italians. It's seen as an Italian-American creation, not something you'd find in a Roman trattoria. This mindset shift stands out for visitors hoping to find instant kinship overseas. Locals appreciate the interest, but day-to-day identity ties back to language, school years, and community ties rather than old family trees. The difference is not criticism, but a quiet acknowledgement of what it means to belong somewhere. Number 3. Dining differences. Meals out in Europe don't follow the American script. In New York or Chicago, waiters refill water and check in every few minutes, hoping for a bigger tip. In Europe, service is efficient but reserved. Wait staff earn regular salaries, tips are modest, typically 5 to 10%, and in some places rounding up is enough. In Germany, you hand over the tip when you pay. In Spain, coins left on the table are welcomed. Restaurant bills often include a service charge already, so no one hurries you to leave or brings the check before it's requested. Tables are yours for the evening, especially in local spots. A 3-course dinner may stretch for hours. Menus reflect local tastes. In Lyon, small plates of cheese and wine. In Prague, hearty stews and dense bread. In Athens, grilled fish and olives. American chains are present, but portion sizes shrink. A typical McDonald's meal in France, for example, will seem smaller and less sweet than its U.S. counterpart due to food laws restricting certain additives. The price of a coffee at a Paris cafe might be €3, about $3.50 in US dollars, but can cost twice as much in a top tourist spot. Mexican food, a staple in many American cities, is hard to find and rarely convincing in most European capitals due to the challenges of sourcing ingredients and finding experienced cooks. This mix of differences can feel both unfamiliar and refreshing to Americans used to quick service and endless refills. Number 2. Little air conditioning. Americans expect climate control. Central AC cools homes, cars, stores, and offices from Florida to Seattle. In Europe, central air is rare, even in high-end flats or hotel rooms. In Munich or Amsterdam, most homes rely on open windows, heavy curtains, and fans during warm spells. In Rome or Athens, air conditioning units are found in bedrooms or living rooms, not throughout the house. During heat waves, and the continent has seen more of these in recent years, people close shutters and spend time in shaded squares, public parks, or outdoor cafes as evening falls. A summer night in Madrid, for example, often sees families gathering on benches or strolling city blocks until past midnight to escape heat indoors. For those used to chilled, sealed buildings, this takes getting used to. The reasons range from energy prices — electricity is often twice as expensive per kilowatt hour as in the US — to building materials, home design, and different expectations about comfort. Many European buildings date back a century or more, with thick walls and small windows designed for cooler times before modern HVAC systems. Cultural habits persist. Even new apartments may skip AC, and locals adapt with seasonal routines carried over from generations past. Number 1. Contradictions and Critiques. Europe attracts millions with a reputation for safety, culture, and public services. The truth, however, carries more complexity. Most cities are safe by American standards, major crimes are rare, and walking late at night is less risky than in many U.S. urban centers. But minor crime thrives. Pickpocketing is common near major sites in Paris, Barcelona, and Rome, with tourists often warned to keep hands on wallets and bags close. The EU leads on food safety and universal healthcare, but service quality and access vary widely across the continent. In Sweden, seeing a doctor is usually quick and low cost. In Bulgaria, wait times stretch and out-of-pocket payments rise. Income and unemployment gaps persist. Youth unemployment in Spain still tops 20%, while Swiss unemployment is under 4%. Public services shine in some places. Clean trams in Zurich run every 7 minutes, and pensioners ride free at set hours. In others, bureaucracy and political battles slow everything down. Paperwork for pensions in Italy or construction permits in Greece can stall for months. Even attitudes about newcomers vary. Discrimination exists, often focused on internal migrants from less wealthy parts of Europe as well as non-European arrivals. Local pride can turn to suspicion when neighbors come from a different language or faith, revealing the conflicts and prejudices that centuries of shifting borders left behind. At the same time, many locals hold up high ideals: solidarity, progress, and open borders, while others believe the promise still falls short. This contradiction marks daily life, whether in the closed shops of Berlin on Sundays or the extra ID checks for a Pole working in Paris. Europe isn't one place or idea. It's a continent of nations, cities, and neighborhoods, each with its own pace, customs, and memories. Next time you hear someone say Europe, call to mind real scenes: a quiet public park in Vienna, early morning bread lines in Warsaw, or an outdoor terrace buzzing in Budapest. Most wouldn't think twice until they visit. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.